Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to the Fourth Quarter with Ben podcast with a fan favorite guest people have seen throughout the years on ESPN, Ian, as known as I-10 Sports, I-10. Thank you so much, Ian, for joining on the podcast.
Yes, sir, man. I'm glad I'm here for the debut, of course. I'm really excited to talk some football, man. We're right around the corner.
Yeah, we absolutely are. Preseason just starts in 2 days, technically, with the Hall of Fame game. So
Yeah.
looking forward to that. And of course, as you know, we all know, if people follow your channel, they know you are a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. So my first question to you, coming from a Pittsburgh Steelers fan perspective, since the theme of this is, the fourth quarter and everything, my question to you is, me and you have had conversations about the Pittsburgh Steelers regular season, their schedule coming up. This is Aaron Rodgers' final season. You have a star wide receiver in DK Metcalf, Michael Pittman Jr. You guys just got, and along with having great pass rushers, Hayward's back for another year. TJ Watt is kind of finding his placement and role from outside inside linebacker, but also knowing he's really the team captain of the defense, along with some playmakers in your secondary. So my question to you is, what are your and Mike McCarthy, the reunion as well. So my question to you is, what are the Pittsburgh Steelers in your mind four biggest, most pivotal games of the season?
Yeah, that's a first off, that is a great question because it's a brand new regimen with McCarthy, Patrick Graham as the DC now, brand new offensive coordinator. Of course, McCarthy is kind of in control of that, but um I think number one most pivotal game, at least from my perspective as a fan, it's week one. And that's the one where we know there's going to be kind of growth steps. We know it's going to have some tough weeks in terms of just getting accustomed to a new system, new defensive system. But week one against Atlanta is a major test against probably arguably the best running back in football and a team that defensively, Pittsburgh, who struggled to stop the run all of last year outside of a few games. I think that is a major test early on week one just to kind of see where they're at. But you said 4 games, so
Yes.
Atlanta. That's I don't know if that maybe that's not the most important one, but final week, of course, is Baltimore. As always, they at least last year was a divisional. It was for the championship or the division championship in the regular season, and that was of course, an super exciting game from a fan perspective. Really wild. I think that one, especially, of course, that one's always super important. Any division game, really. One main one that's like crazy to call it super important because Cleveland's obviously they have their struggles, but it's always Cleveland on the road. They can never seem to get it done, and for some reason, that is always a mood killer. At least from my perspective, at least towards the back half of the season. So I think if they're able to beat Cleveland on the road, that could really change something. And then the final one, at least the fourth one, maybe a little bit biased because I'm from Jacksonville. They play the Jaguars in Jacksonville on Monday Night Football in December. That should be a really fun one. If I'm here, I will gladly be in attendance for that game. But those four, especially in particular, those are the main four that I'm not only excited to see, but are definitely pivotal, like you mentioned.
Absolutely. And to stay in Pittsburgh, I want to know, what is your initial reaction? Of course, we have the Mike McCarthy, Aaron Rodgers reunion, but my question too, looking at this from an objective point of view, I have two questions for you about Big Mike. One, do you see him being the head coach for Pittsburgh more than just a season? And two, what do you think is going to be the biggest difference of of the difference of your Mikes, right? Mike Tomlin and Mike McCarthy. What do you think is going to be the big difference of those two coaching, the styles, the situational football, all that kind of thing that goes into the three phases of the game?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a big difference outside of just their names, of course. But um, the first part, like, I definitely think he will finish out his contract at least. I think Pittsburgh has kind of built that sense of loyalty when they do hire coaches. Like they're not just gonna if we suck the first year for which would be kind of shocking to me. I don't think they're just going to let him
Absolutely.
go. Um, so I do think he's here for the long haul for a little while. So I'm excited for it. I've warmed up to it, of course. I'm really excited to see at least the main difference, like you just asked, is the utilization of DK Metcalf, a guy who clearly struggled last year, just didn't produce as much as what we would hope, and the amount of money that they're paying him, like it's nuts. Like it's top 10 type of receiver money. He just did not have that type of year. So he's
Absolutely.
obviously uber talented. Rodgers can still sling it. I think the main thing that we're going to see is a lot of moving Metcalf around the formation and not expecting him to win one on one against these top tier elite corners on a play to play basis, which unfortunately it's just not his game. You obviously want that to happen for any, or you want that for any team, but moving him around the formation, whether that's moving him inside of the slot, keeping him on the outside, using his speed, but I'm really excited to see the creativity offensively to kind of come out from McCarthy because that's his calling card, and he's a quarterbacks maestro. He knows what to do with that, so I'm excited to see it from an offensive standpoint. We'll see where the defense kind of lands because they are aging. So they did struggle last year, but I'm excited for a new change, um, and especially this year because they're going to need it.
Absolutely. And the last question for Pittsburgh for now is this is a big week to be a Pittsburgh Steelers fan. Pat McAfee had the training camp interviews. So I just want to know, I mean, one, did you watch it? And two, what interviews of players stuck out? Because it seemed like he interviewed half of the Pittsburgh Steelers staff. Him and the boys had a lot of people in Pittsburgh in the training camp to see this kind of like you were saying, I think you can't necessarily say new look Steelers, but new look with Mike McCarthy and new look with Michael Pittman Jr. And of course, addition by subtraction. I think what other teams have done, including Pittsburgh, what they did in the draft. I'm just kind of curious, what rookies are you watching, and also what did you kind of think the vibes were, from anybody interviewed between Mike, Aaron, DK, the GM, Khan,
Mark
yeah.
Aaron, yeah, yeah,
Mark on and there were other TJ Watt and Hayward as well. And I
yeah.
think there were some other people too.
I remember the Watt and Hayward one specifically. I think oh my gosh, I'm just not remember the conversation, but of course the Rogers one sticks out.
Yeah.
He completely called out ESPN, but it's a
Yeah.
conversation for another day. But like I
Yeah.
love what McAfee's able to do. They went there last year as well, and it's kind of a obviously not a brand new look Steelers like roster wise, but with like you said, the whole new coaching staff, like it's a different vibe. Like it's refreshing, at least in my opinion, and I think it's definitely a positive look to the future. So um it was definitely really cool. But like a few of the rookies, like you mentioned, like one of them in particular, Maxi Honachor, is at least what I've read, their first round pick, their offensive tackle, has had some pretty impressive flashes in the one on one setting, which they put on pads on this week, or they put pads on this week for training camp. So that's where you want to see him kind of stand out with his athleticism, kind of his improved technique. So I'm excited for him. Jeremy Bernard is another one they drafted in the second round, wide receiver from Alabama, who is probably expected to make an impact from day one in the slot and kind of as a blocker. So those two guys in particular are the main two that are probably going to see the field the earliest.
Mm.
Um, Dalen Everett was another one that I've read has been off to a hot start. The corner from Georgia, who has a ton of experience for his age, who's I think he just turned 21 this year, I believe, which is nuts because he played like 3 years at Georgia and logged over like 1,000 snaps on defense, which is a lot of experience. And he's been off to an excellent start, given DK Metcalf some problems from what I've read. So I'm excited for those first three guys, especially, but just the whole new refreshment um, of a new scheme and versatility with McCarthy and that type of staff.
Absolutely. And to now transition, um, I would also like to know your thoughts about this, and this is a question about happening right now, but also, as we know, just anything, right? When you make decisions, it can matter in a week, a year from now, 10 years from now, and this is the conversation right now in Tampa. Trouble in Tampa with Baker Mayfield. They couldn't get a contract right. It was reportedly that he was offered 50 million a year, and that would have gone to just over 100 million for the next two seasons, and that would have probably included this season with it. That being said, Baker thought he's worthy of being a franchise quarterback. In his defense, other than last season, he's won all the division titles for Tampa. Also, Tampa and the NFC South is the worst division in football. So you have to look at it from that perspective. But that being said, one, I want to know your thoughts on if you think Baker should have taken the contract, and two, Tampa can franchise tag him, and if they don't do that, the rumored teams have been Pittsburgh is in the mix, the Jets are in the mix, the Cardinals are in the mix, and even a team like the Rams if he wants to compete for a starting job and go back to LA. I'd like to know your question or kind of just your whole thoughts on Baker Mayfield, and then where do you see him in 2027?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Obviously, like you mentioned, like it was a 2 year, 100 million, which clearly Baker stated like he just felt disrespected. And I can kind of understand it. He had a hot start to the season last year and then kind of dipped off. But the year before, 2024, he was excellent. He played really well. I thought he took care of the ball a little bit better compared to this past year. So I understand the frustration, I guess. Obviously, I'm not getting a $100 million contract to play quarterback, but from his perspective, I can see it. So it
Absolutely.
makes sense. 2027, that's tough to look forward to. Of course, Pittsburgh would make sense, I guess, if he were to kind of get out of there. They always seem to be in the veteran quarterback mix, but
And then my
I don't know.
question to you is, would you rather Pittsburgh draft a quarterback in the first, second round, or roll the dice and go, 2, 3 years with Baker?
I definitely would pick round one quarterback for sure,
Hmm.
in my opinion. Just younger, a lot more cheap or a lot cheaper, and potentially ends up turning superstar. So
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And then where there's trouble in one place, there's paradise in another place, and it's in the NFC South. That was reported earlier today by Adam Schefter. Bijan Robinson got a contract over $75 million. I believe it's 3 more years with Atlanta, or 3 years, or is it two or
I
three?
believe so. I can find it, but I know he's the highest paid running back in history now until probably the um, Jameer Gibbs contract, which is probably coming
Amir
soon.
Gibbs and Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. Um,
So I just kind of want to know your thoughts about that. That kind of just for people who, for our listeners who aren't aware, there was a big argument in the committee of running backs a couple of years ago wanting to get paid more, and
yeah.
some guys like Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley didn't get paid what they thought they were worth, and so now this is something that broke the running back market. We just kind of saw this happen with quarterbacks about 5 to 7 years ago, and it just, continuing to go more. And I mean, I would say last offseason, we definitely saw it with, players like TJ Watt, Micah Parsons on the defensive end side, Miles Garrett with his contract now with LA. So now it's the running backs that broke the market. And I just kind of want to know your thoughts. One, do you think Bijan Robinson is worth it? And then two, do you think this was the right move by Atlanta from a team standpoint?
Yeah. I'll start with two because it was definitely the right move. I think um, because Bijan's outstanding. Like he is a rare type of running back. Because I think he's more than just that. Because you can line him up in the slot as a guy that can honestly run routes pretty at a pretty solid rate or pretty solid level for his position. So I'm definitely convinced that this was the right move. I'm drawing a blank on what your first question was, but
And then yeah, and then so right move, and then I guess also you answered it as well. As you think Bijan's worth it, he should be happy. And I mean, I believe this young man's in his mid-20s, if I'm not mistaken. So
Yeah.
he's got time, right? I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
typically for running backs, you don't really see the decline until the 29 to 32 range. And he's well under that. So he
Yeah.
is set. And then this also, I would just say for that FC South, which I did not anticipate talking about so much, we really kind of forgot about the Carolina Panthers and the New Orleans Saints. I know you've been high on the Saints quarterback going into the year two. We got to see him have a really good rookie year in the little bit he played, or not little bit, but the sample size we saw him play.
Yeah.
So I think the NFC South is probably, maybe arguably the most open division in football, just when you're looking at from a division champion standpoint. Where I feel like before, it was just pick Tampa, pick Tampa, pick
Yeah.
Tampa. They'll find a way to
Right.
get 9 wins or whatever it is. So now
Yeah.
it's like, well, here we are, and so it's just an interesting division. And then to go to your point, Jahmyr Gibbs about to break the bank, and apparently Jonathan Taylor could as well. Now I think Jahmyr Gibbs is just, Detroit's thinking about like Atlanta in that regard of, a guy in your mid-20s, I believe. Pay him well. Jonathan Taylor, I believe, is a little older than them, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken.
Yeah.
That being said, though, the Colts, I believe, have the money to do it, and I think they should. I mean, just without trying to be too mean, it's probably not, I don't really think, a well-constructed roster. So I think again, and I don't really necessarily think Atlanta is too. Detroit definitely is, at least to be competitive. So I think, something like Jahmyr Gibbs might need it more than Detroit, even though Detroit needs it. But I think Atlanta and Indianapolis need their guy. Their running back's their quarterback when you're looking at it in a financial way.
Yeah.
Because I would, Bijan Robinson and Jonathan Taylor, they're the ones who are going to be getting 20 to 25 carries a game likely, and not necessarily Jamar Gibbs won't, but he's also a do-it-all running back where Jared Goff can have the luxury of throwing it to him as well. Where, a guy like Bijan's worrying about Tua or Michael Penix, and then a guy like Jonathan Taylor's worrying about Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson. Because there was no trade value for Anthony Richardson reported this past offseason.
Yeah.
So that the former Gator. So nothing really there. So now what I want to get to is I think this is a perfect segment. I-10's best NFL teams. And to put in the little four number with it, I think obviously the top four teams are, tier one contending teams. So I'm going to play a little game with you, this or that. I-10's 10 best NFL teams. And we're going to start with the defending Super Bowl champions against the expected 2027 champions by multiple reports. Who do you think? Who do you got, Rams or Seahawks, for your number one team right now going into the season?
Got to go Rams. Uh, Only thing we're kind of working with is the team on the paper, and of course we'll have to see how it translates in the early portions of the season. But they are very clearly, at least in my opinion, the best team on paper with the chance of getting their first ballot Hall of Famer back in Aaron Donald, who's probably still excellent. And
And do you believe
considering,
it's? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, you're good. You're good. Go ahead.
Oh, do you believe it seems like he's going to be playing at some point this season. You believe that's the case?
I think so. Sean McVay, he they asked him in his press conference the other day, and he said if I could give you guys like a trajectory or a kind of definitive answer, that he said the arrow is pointing up. So I have a feeling that we are going to see Aaron Donald and Miles Garrett on the same defensive line.
And
Pairing that with
obviously, Jared Verse is a Cleveland Brown now, but they still have Young, right? On the
they still
pass
have
rusher.
Byron Young. They still have Byron Young. They still
And
have
I think a
Jacoby
young
Turner.
guy like Byron Young, so much attention's going to be on Garrett and Donald. Young could have a 10-sack season, and
Oh yeah,
nobody even, you know what I mean? So and then you could look at it a way of all these guys combining for 35 sacks on the season.
yeah. They should be up there production wise because they also have Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk on the interior of their line. To pair that with Trent McDuffie, who they just traded for,
Yes,
a good
from the
safety tandem back
Chiefs.
there. So, and an excellent defensive coordinator in Chris Shula, who probably should have got a head coaching job. But yeah, and of course the offense is outstanding. Like we know what's going to happen there. So I would definitely lean the Rams, but Seattle is they're no joke. Like they're due for some regression, but they're still out really good.
So that leads me to my next one, and I agree with you. Rams number one. Now, Seahawks or Broncos for number two?
Oh, that's
Going
actually
on the
tough.
AFC.
That's actually really tough. I'm going to slightly lean Seattle, but this is like really close because I am much higher on the Broncos than I was last year with the addition of Jalen Waddle, who I think is a really good receiver that has just been in a tough situation. Of course, like Mike McDaniel was an outstanding kind of play designer. Now he's in with the Chargers now, but Sean Payton is like he holds the candle to him. Like he's an excellent play caller. He knows what he's doing. Waddle, Sutton, an elite defense. They drafted another running back, Jonah Coleman, to kind of pair with RJ Harvey and J.K. Dobbins. A good offensive line. Bo Nix should be healthy, at least from what I've read. Um, so yeah, they lost one guy, and oh my gosh, I'm drawing a blank. John Franklin Myers. They lost him to Tennessee, who was a really good interior defensive lineman for them. But I'm still like very confident that defense is going to be top of the league, at least up there. And if Bo Nix takes a step, I think this team's ceiling just increases even more.
Okay. Broncos or Bills for number three?
Mm, I gotta go Bills. I'll go
Sure.
Bills. I think Josh Allen bounces back in a big way, especially in the playoffs. I know he has the weight of the world on his shoulders with that team, and I felt so bad at the end of that game because he knows he shouldn't have ran it at the end of the first half and fumbled. But um, I'll lean Buffalo with Josh Allen. I like the addition of DJ Moore. I
Oh,
think he's
nobody's talking about that one, by the
yeah.
way.
I think he could really open up some explosive plays for them down the field while still having Shakir, Dalton Kincaid, other guys that can contribute with an excellent running game with James Cook. So then arguably the best offensive player in the world, Josh Allen, who has been just outstanding in the past couple of years. So I'm excited to see what they do defensively. They should be better. Drawing a blank on who they added to that side of the football, but um, Joe Brady
Yeah.
is now their head coach. They hired from the inside,
Yes.
which I don't fully agree with, but he is an innovative mind. He knows what he's doing. So I'm excited to see what they do. I will lean Buffalo. I think they're in the same tier of teams, though.
Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna still stick with Denver, and let's put them against your rival, the Baltimore Ravens.
Baltimore.
Den. Okay, Baltimore. Okay, I like it. Baltimore number four.
Yeah. Yeah. Baltimore is they I thought I may have Baltimore. Oh man, that's tough. Baltimore and Buffalo would be a tough one because that's just such a clash. And but I thought Baltimore arguably had like one of the better off seasons out of anybody. Of course, if they
Yeah.
ended up with Max Crosby, it would have been up here. But
Yeah.
Trey Hendrickson is a pretty nice consolation prize. But
Good plan
the main,
B.
yeah, exactly. But their main thing, I love their staff. Jesse Minter, head coach now, who's a really good defensive mind. Anthony Weaver, who had multiple head coaching interviews, is now their DC, has been kind of viewed as a really good candidate for the next head coach position that opens up, and a really vocal kind of leadership based guy, similar to Dan Campbell from what I've seen. And then their offensive coordinator now, Declan Doyle, was um, under Ben Johnson the past couple of years. So I think Baltimore should be back to the top of that tier one type
Yeah.
of AFC contender, especially if their defense gets back to what they should be, because it was really just weird last year how bad it was at times. So as a Steeler fan, I don't like it, but like from just an objective perspective and a football fan, I love what they have done this offseason. Plus, Lamar Jackson's awesome. I think he's going to be healthy this year. Hope he bounces back.
Yeah, I like it. And so what's really interesting about this one is we'll just go over the tier one first in these last few minutes. But anyways, so what's really interesting, I love your list by the way. And then we'll finish it out here. But what's interesting is when you see a lot of the projections, some people have Baltimore over the Rams as the number one team. So in tier one, we
Yeah,
got the Rams, we got the Seahawks. We got the Bills and we got the Ravens. So now to go to tier two, Denver, Cincinnati.
Denver,
Okay,
Denver.
Denver. Okay,
Yeah,
Denver. Okay, Denver number five. Let's go. Oh, we gotta go another NFC team to contend here. Um, Seattle or Cincinnati at number six. Yeah, number
definitely,
six.
definitely Seattle. I think that the
Yeah.
defensive gap with those two teams is pretty clear. But Cincinnati, like there should be improvements on that end. Dexter Lawrence, um, they signed a couple other guys. I'm trying to remember who, but they it won't be as good as those teams defensively. But there should be some improvement. But definitely Seattle over
Okay,
Cincinnati.
let's go Cincinnati or Chicago at number seven.
Wow, that's actually mm, that's pretty tough. That is actually tough. I'm gonna lean Chicago very slightly. Those teams are
Sure.
probably in the same tier if I were to just look at it from a outside perspective if, with all the teams. But I think the running game specifically with Chicago kind of puts them over the top because I think Williams takes another step this year. And defensively, they created some turnovers. Cincinnati didn't really create any. So I'm kind of, I guess, banking on the improvement of a Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams duo in their second year together. So I think I'd slightly lean Chicago.
Okay, Green Bay or Cincinnati at number eight.
Green Bay for sure.
Okay,
Parsons
I
gets
like
back,
it.
and I'm hoping Parsons gets back to full strength there.
And
But
Tucker Kraft will be ready week one.
yeah, that's what I read, and he's awesome. So definitely Green Bay over
Let's
Cincinnati.
stick in your division. The Pittsburgh Steelers, Cincinnati for number nine.
Cincy
Okay,
for sure.
okay.
I have a little more confidence in Cincinnati this year, and hopefully Burrow staying healthy for their sake.
Yeah, absolutely. They're too talented of a team to miss the playoffs back-to-back seasons. That being said, though, Joe Flacco couldn't hold down the ship quite as well as Joe Burrow does. Different kind of Joe.
Right.
Number 10 is pretty open. I'll stick with your team, Pittsburgh, and I'm gonna put them up against. Oh, I'm trying to think of a team off the top of my head. Let's go Pittsburgh versus Jacksonville at number 10.
Oh, Jacksonville for
Okay.
sure. I
And
think
could we
Jacksonville.
also say Jacksonville? And I almost feel like I forgot about them. They're like the dark horse of the NFL in some ways. Do we think Jacksonville is maybe closer to number five than number 10, or is number 10 just perfect for them?
I think they probably fall within the 7 to 11 range
Yeah,
if I were to do
agreed.
my full team rankings.
Sure.
But yeah, I think their offense is going to be even better this year because we need to see. I know a lot of Jacksonville fans. Of course, I live in Jacksonville. All the people talking
Yeah.
about we need to see 2 years in a row where Trevor Lawrence is playing good football, and I think it finally happens with Liam Cohen coming
That
over.
I think he found the guy, Liam
Yeah,
Cohn. You just
yeah,
see the difference of Trevor's play. I
yeah.
mean,
They
when we
also
look
got
at Trevor Lawrence's stats from this past season, he was maybe the seventh best quarterback in the league.
yeah. He
Uh,
was really good statistically last year.
yeah.
Really good.
And then that playoff game against, we were just talking about Josh Allen, in the divisional round, but Jacksonville had Buffalo on the ropes multiple times, and they
Yeah,
were just selling for field goals, not touchdowns. And Allen's almost identical to Mahomes in the way of you need touchdowns, not field goals to beat those guys in the
yeah,
postseason.
yeah, yeah.
Um, Well, that's
I think
awesome. Well, what I think we should transition to here, I think they say we got about 5 minutes.
okay.
I want to know some of your awards, your MVP. What I love too is the way you break down the draft NFL and NBA. So I'd like to know your MVP and some contenders: offensive rookie of the year, defensive rookie of the year, and then anything else you'd like to say in these last few minutes here.
Yeah, MVP. I th- man, it's tough. I think Drake May could really do it.
Yeah.
I think he could really do it. He had an argument to win it last year, and now he's got AJ Brown. He's got Romeo Dobbs. He's probably going to have a better run game this year. To kind of add on to it, he's playing a tougher schedule. So I think if he continues to produce at the level that he did last year against these top tier defenses, which against a first place schedule, I think he could really maybe not run away with the award, but I think it's a real possibility that he could win it after being the runner up this past year. But offensive rookie of the year, multiple guys that I think could do it. Jeremiah Love probably has a case. I think there's a little bit too many mouths to feed in that offense, but he could very well do it. One in particular that I think should have the opportunity to put up the most stats, just considering the lack of competition in the receiver room, is Carnell Tate from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Wan'Dale Robinson is a solid player. Brian Dayball loves him. He followed him over there from New York, but Tate is that vertical threat that Tennessee will have. Cam Ward will love to have. So I'm kind of excited to see what he's able to do there. Defensive rookie of the year, Caleb Downs is the main one that I think
Oh,
could really have an argument for it. Him or his teammate Sonny Styles, who is in Washington. Caleb Downs is in
and,
Dallas, but yeah, go
and for
ahead.
Caleb Downs, what impressed you the most watching his college tape?
The instinctual stuff, kind of the football knowledge, because he's not the greatest athlete. He's a very good one. He is super strong, but he is super instinctual. He knows what the offense is trying to do. He fills gaps against the run really well. He's got really good spatial awareness, in zone coverage, some underrated skills in man coverage, I think, and is a bruising tackler in space. So I think he could really change that Dallas defense, who is honestly looking to move up this as soon as next year, in my opinion.
Yeah. It's a really fun season. I'm glad it's here right around. And a former quarterback of yours is starring two nights from now, Kenny Pickett, in the Hall of Fame game. So that'll be fun to see. And I think this NFL season, more importantly, it's so fun. It's right around the corner. Since let's see how much time we have. We got 2 minutes. So if you'd like to say anything else in these 2 minutes, the floor is yours on any other quick storylines or anything.
Um, the Saints.
Oh
That
yeah.
will be. I know we briefly mentioned it, but I'll touch on them really quickly. I think either them or Carolina wins the division this year, and I
Yeah.
think the Saints end up doing it. I was a fan of the way Shuck played towards the end of the season. They drafted Jordan Tyson at 8 overall to pair alongside Chris Olave, who they just locked up long term. So, really exciting wide receiver duo that can get open, create explosive plays, but also they just acquired Travis Etienne or Travis Achan, according to him, um, from Jacksonville in free agency
That's
to form a pretty
huge.
running back duo alongside Kamara, but also was another just a big fan of what they did in the draft for the limited amount of picks. They also took Oscar Delp in the third round, a tight end from Georgia, who's a really outstanding player. Um, add add all this together with a really kind of high upside offensive line that is young and played really well last year. I'm excited to see what they do.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Ian, for coming on the Four Quarter with Ben podcast. And yeah, we can't wait to see you again soon. I'm happy the football season's right around the corner.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having me on.
Absolutely. As always, everybody, be thankful, be grateful, and live life to the fullest. Awesome. Awesome. Do I just press the end button?
Yeah.
Or, oh, I just press end? Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. And